Hey everybody, this is Tom again in Western North Carolina. It's the same day as I made that last video. Oh, I forgot to tell you, that previous video I labeled episode 4, and I'd already done episode 4, so gotta just try to put them in order the best you can, I guess on the day they were made. Anyways, this one, after I made that video this morning, I went to work on my stuff, and it's probably going to be a couple days before I can do another video, so I just wanted to let you know what I got done. And anyways, what I got done mainly was I cut out that new set of rockers that I told you I was laying out. And then I went ahead and I smoothed them all up real good. And, I had them screwed together on the end so they'd match up. And, I clamped them in the vise. And with the grain, I could go downhill this way and downhill that way. And I used my little plane to do that. To rough it out. To get the bumps and stuff from the bandsaw out. I've got a pretty coarse tooth in my bandsaw, and it's not a super smooth cut. But anyways, I did my little plane, and then I did my sander. And still I use that still old raggedy piece of sandpaper on there, whatever it is, and I went back and forth and got that smoothed up real good. No bumps or lumps or anything in that. And then I went over on this other side, these two flat spots I was telling you about, and I was able to put that in a vise again. And same thing with this little plane. I did this end best I could. Kind of went down to the line that I could still see. And then I went back to this end, and my plane wouldn't work very good because it ran into there. So I ended up using my spoke shave. My spoke shave worked pretty good right there. But clamped in a vise and, going with the grain. And so I ended up, getting those in line with each other pretty darn good. With using a straight edge. And then, after I did that, I still had them screwed together, and I kind of did the corners a little bit, what I could see, where I could get to. I worked on those corners a little bit, and then I went ahead and just cut them apart. The most critical places, I had this long radius and these two flat spots matched up as perfect as I could, even squared across, squared across this way. You want them square. Anyways, I sawed them apart. I sawed those ends off. And then I went ahead and finished out this end as best I could, just using a spoke shave. I see it's going to still need some more work, but we're going to get to that. I used my spoke shave on that end. And I used my spoke shave on this curved part back in here. And I tried to just keep them mashed right together. I could line them up with these places that I had already done. And then this place in here I did with a rasp. I did with this rough rasp. And then I smoothed it up some more with this, it's a rasp, but it's not as rough as this one was. And then I sanded it. And then this place here, between the two flats, I didn't do anything to it, because we're going to cut that spot out again later. And the reason I cut it out now at all is to get it out of the way, because I don't want to have to make this whole line from here to here, I don't want to have to make that all a straight line. I want to just work on these two places. I want to just get this out of the way. So just leave that. It's just rough right now still. I don't know if you can see that. But anyways, in the meantime, not in the meantime, but after I got those rockers to that point, I went ahead and set up my chair. Well, I didn't set my chair up, but I cut the bottoms off. Just like in that chair video, I cut these two bottoms off with my saw. You can use any saw you want, but this is a saw I used. I had my chair up here clamped down, you know, on its side, and I cut these two back legs off. And then I turned my chair up on this, whatever you call this, my workbench, sort of workbench. And I clamped my workbench down a lot better than I normally clamp it down. But then I clamped my chair on here upside down. And I clamped these two clamps. And I don't know what's going on with these boards, but they're not totally flat or in line or anything. And I put wedges here because these rungs right here where I've got it clamped, those rungs were not touching there. And so I put wedges under there. If these two airfoils aren't perfectly in line or you don't have a perfectly straight board, you want to use at least one wedge someplace. You do not want to clamp this and twist it out of shape. You want it to stay, you want to clamp it down, but you want it to be in its natural resting state. You don't want to clamp it and twist it out of shape and do all this work on it and then have it go like that when you unclamp it. So I've got wedges right there, and I've got this thing clamped down pretty darn good. And then what I did, the next thing I did was I checked this across here to see if these were lined up. And sure enough, they were not. Because remember, I put those little marks on there. Those little marks were in the way, so I took this big old rough rasp and I ran them on there and got that down. And I got these in pretty good, lined up. Those do not have to be perfectly lined up. I'm just going to show you here in a minute. It's a lot easier to lay out the rockers if they are pretty close to being lined up at least. And the reason it doesn't matter if they're lined up or not is because we've already drawn these marks here that tell us where the bottom of the mortise is. And we did that off of that plane, when we just moved that plane on those lines. Where if we had not marked these lines before, now we'd be in a more complicated situation about, well, what are we measuring from? So we've eliminated that possibility. Now I did notice I was trying to adjust this one a little bit with this big old rough rasp. And it's pretty easy to bend this grain over and tear grain out if you're in different situations on here. So you got to be aware of that. And you do not, right now, I want you to keep these edges crisp, 90 degrees. I don't want you to round these edges over at all right now. It's better if you just leave them straight up. And the same thing with these rockers. When you're doing, especially up here on these flat places, you do not at this time want to do anything on these edges. You want them to stay crisp and square. I'm hearing a noise. I think it might be thunder, but I'm not sure. I had to think about it. So you want these edges to be crisp. So then, once I got these pretty much level, the way I wanted them, I took my rockers and I looked at my rockers, and you get to choose now which one goes on this side and which one goes on this side. You got two choices. Anyways, I knew there was a defect in this one rocker right there. There's a little dent right there. I don't know how it got there, or that it was there, and so I'm choosing to put that on the inside right here rather than on the outside. Other than that, I can't see any other defects. And so what I do when I make my choice like that, I put on the bottom and the top of the rocker, I put little arrows, and I even wrote in. Those arrows are pointing in. And that's just a reference for me to know that this rocker goes here and this rocker goes here. See, they put that pretty good, just like that. All right. And I'm just going to move on right now. And so the next step right now is to mark where these rockers are, where these mortises are going to be for these rockers. So just by eyeball, and if you don't trust your eye, you know, you could get a tool, something like this, and set it at some point. I guess I could just set it and maybe, you know, make a couple marks like that. And then I could use those marks as my reference points. But I'm just going by eye here. Just trying to get the same amount inside and outside. Maybe I better not do that. Maybe I better do it this way. Put a little mark there. That is thunder. The sun's still shining. I got the window open on my truck. I had it open yesterday when it rained. And I got it out there in the sun right now trying to dry out. So if I end this video real quick, it's because I have to go out and shut my window if it starts pouring rain. But anyways, I've got the rocker on there. And I've got it right in between those two little lines I just drew. And so now I'm going to take my sharp pencil and I drew lines on the top of here. I'm just going to do the one right now because you don't need to see me do both of them. So now I've got two lines there and two lines there. And the next thing you do is you very, very carefully move those lines around the corner so you can see them on the side here. And I'm using a sharp pencil, and I'm trying to be really careful about this because it makes a difference. When you go to cut these out, the more accurately you have them marked, and then the more accurately you saw them, the more easy it is to get them fitted in there good. If you are real sloppy about it, they're either going to look real sloppy because you cut them too big, or it's going to take a lot of extra work to get them. If you cut them too small, it takes a lot of work to get them out to the right size. So now this comes into play now. This thing here, I'm setting it over here. And then I'm got my head in the way for you guys. But I've got that lined up right on that mark I just made, and that little piece there sitting right on the top. And I can draw this up and down line right there. I didn't quite get it perfect. I'll probably do it again. But then I can move this over, and I'm going to draw now on this side of this thing. I didn't get that one perfect either. I've got them both over that way, just about the width of the pencil, that pencil point right there. I'm going to have to redo both of them. But then you can do this side back here. It's hard to see over the top that way. I can see this one better. I got it done better. Now I'm moving over here. Those are pretty good. But even if they're not absolutely correct, if you know they're not absolutely correct, when you go to saw and compensate for that, you'll be okay. Okay, so that's the process. You do that all the way around on all of these. And if I cleaned a little bit of this stuff out from back there, I could crawl under there and be looking from that side when I do these, and I would get better marks. And that's one thing that I may do before the next video, is I've got this set up so I can only see and work really good from this side. I could get over there to make my marks, but I don't think I want to be over there to do any sawing. There's not enough room. And so I may be able to rig up a system like this, where I can clamp my chair down that's out here somewhere where I have access to both sides of the chair. You know, I might have to walk around or crawl under or something, but at least I can get to the other side and work from the other side without turning my chair around. Now, I've made several of these chairs in this, not this exact location, but this exact situation, where I could only basically get on one side of the chair, and I would do as much as I could, as good as I could from this side of the chair, and then I would turn the chair around and then do from the other side. It's a little bit of a pain, but it's doable. And but anyways, so that's about what I wanted to tell you. You know, I started working on those rockers and started remembering stuff that I wanted to tell you about the rockers. And the main thing was, I've already harped on these flat places enough, but the one thing I wanted to be sure to tell you was this in-between place. You do not have to do anything right now to it. Just leave it rough. But that's how you lay these out and mark them. Anyways. And this thing is handy to do it with, but again, I'm going to give you a quick lesson on how to do it without that. And it involves a straight edge of any kind, doesn't matter, that you lay across here, and then a square that you set on here to draw that line, and then you can move it over to here and draw this other line. It just becomes a little bit harder to hold it and stuff, but it's very doable. Like I say, everybody used to do it like this. I used to do it like this. But then in class, I was in class teaching a class, and somebody had the bright idea to make this thing, and it just turns out to be a lot easier because it's just one piece. You don't have to balance and hold two pieces together. So anyways, I'm going to continue, lay all these out, and then I'm going to start sawing these out. And I don't know, maybe I'll have two or more of them sawed out, and then I'll saw one out when I'll show you on the video sawing one out, and then I'll show you, how to fit your rockers in and stuff. So that's just all coming up. Oh yeah, just before I got started thinking about making this video this afternoon, I got an email from one of my subscribers and friend now, who has already produced a chair, and he called it a Tom chair, from the previous, set of how to make a chair video. And I am so proud of that guy that he was able to do that. And so that's an inspiration, or I hope that can be an inspiration to you guys, everybody else, that, it can actually be done. And anyways, I just am so proud of that guy. And anyways, it's not raining yet, sun's still shining, but I'm going to go out and shut my window as soon as I cut this camera off. And I'm still thankful for what I have, and I hope you can be thankful too. And so anyways, I'll see you another time. Thanks for watching. I'm going to try to post these tonight. See ya. Bye.